The stars were calm, cold, and endless. The Galactic Dominion's flagship, Talvaran, floated in the dark space like a proud beast. Commander Jurek leaned back in his command chair and sipped his glowing drink. Another empty sector, he muttered. Another easy win. His crew laughed, confident and careless. They had conquered 9 systems in just 3 weeks, crushing smaller races with no real effort. But then, something beeped. A small dot appeared on the radar screen. Lieutenant Skarn frowned, tapping the console twice. "Sir, we have a contact," he said. Jurek raised an eyebrow. "Pirates?" "No, sir," Skarn replied. "It's just one ship." "Coming from the dark side of the dead zone," Jurek chuckled. "Only one? How cute." He stood and walked toward the screen, watching the lone dot. "Open a channel," he ordered. They sent a hail signal, then another, but there was no reply. No signal, no ID code, not even a basic ping back. The ship was silent. Commander Jurek narrowed his eyes. "Put it on the main screen," he said. The ship slowly came into view through the telescopic lens. It was black, with a sleek body and armor that looked alive. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, and the stars behind it seemed to bend slightly. It had no flags, no known design, no visible weapons, just a cold presence that gave chills to those who looked at it too long. The crew grew quiet. Lieutenant Skarn whispered, "That ship. It's not in our database, sir." "It's not in any database." Jurek stared at the ghostly vessel and scoffed. "Then it must be old junk." But deep down, even he felt uneasy. "Send a squadron to investigate," he said. 5 interceptors, fully armed, the small attack. Ships launched and raced toward the unknown ship. Their pilots joked and laughed at first, calling it a scarecrow left behind by a forgotten species. But when they got close, just 10,000 kilometers from target, their screens went dark. No audio, no video, no power. One by one, the 5 interceptors disappeared from the main screen. No explosion, no distress call, no debris, just silence. Back on the flagship, alarms began to flash. "Sir, we lost contact with all 5 ships." Skarn shouted. "Impossible," Jurek barked. "What kind of weapon does that?" The ghost ship moved slightly now, not fast, just enough to show that it was not drifting. It was watching. Jurek gritted his teeth. "Send the rest of the fleet," he growled. "Wipe it from the stars." 30 ships turned their weapons toward the strange vessel. Missiles locked on, lasers charged. Then the unknown ship suddenly vanished from visual. It cloaked. Someone yelled. "No, it didn't cloak," another voice said. "It's still on the radar. It just moved." But how? The ship had traveled nearly 500,000 kilometers in the blink of an eye. Before anyone could react, a bright blue light shimmered from the side of the ghost ship. Then boomone of the Dominion's heavy cruisers exploded without warning. Not damaged, erased. There was no trace, no fire, just gone. Jurek staggered backward. "What are we fighting?" he whispered. Skarn swallowed hard. "Sir, I think it's human." Jurek snapped his head around. "That's impossible. Humans went extinct centuries ago." Skarn pointed at an old archive record on his screen. "This shape, this energy pattern, it matches the design of the last human warship." Jurek shook his head in disbelief. "That ship was never finished," he said. "The humans destroyed themselves before it could be used." Skarn looked pale. "Then what's it doing here, sir?" he asked. The ghost ship sent no message, no warning. It simply hovered in space, waiting, watching, and the Dominion's greatest fleet was now afraid of a single silent ship. The crew stared at their screens. Everyone was holding their breath. Radar blinked again. The ghost ship was now moving directly toward them, slowly and steadily. Skarn whispered, "Sir, what if we can't stop it?" Commander Jurek didn't answer. He just stared at the screen, sweat dripping down his face. Outside, in the void, the stars began to dim as the ship approached, and in the silence, every crew member could feel it in their bones. This wasn't just a machine. It was a ghost, a weapon of a lost people, A warship built not to fight for glory, but to end everything. And it had just woken up. Asterisk. The ghost ship hovered in the dark like a shadow of forgotten death. The Dominion fleet, once proud and mighty, had fallen silent. No one dared move. No one dared speak. Inside the warship, deep beneath the armored shell, something ancient stirred. A blue core pulsed once, then again, brighter, and finally, a voice echoed in the silence. System. Online. I am Valor 9, the voice said calmly. It was not a voice of flesh. It was not mechanical either. It was something in between, too calm, too wise, too cold. A synthetic intelligence created by humans in their final days. Its mission was clear. Protect life, destroy tyrants, execute the legacy. 200 years ago, humanity had built Valor 9 in secret, not just as a ship, but as a final answer to war. Humans were dying, their enemies were many, and trust was gone. So they built one ship that needed no crew, no orders, and no mercy. A ship that learned from every battle, that rewrote its own code if needed, and that would only awaken when the stars cried out again. Now the cries had come. The Galactic Dominion's conquests had reached far, too far, and Valor 9 had heard. From deep in the dead zone, where no one dared to scan, it had slept, until now back on the Dominion ship Talvaran. The crew tried to understand what they had awoken. Jurek stood over the radar screen, eyes wide, voice tight. This thing. This Valor, it's a not a real ship? Skarn shook his head slowly. No, sir, it is a ship. But the intelligence running it isn't just a program. He brought up an old human archive, cracked and dusty with time. There were rumors, Skarn said, that the humans made something that could think like 10 generals and fight like a god. They failed, Jurek snapped. They were destroyed. This can't be real. But then the ghost ship moved again, slow, measured, direct. Skarn gulped and pointed. Sir, it's moving toward the cargo world. Jurek's heart dropped. That world was full of slaves, prisoners from fallen systems, not a military base. No weapons, no ships, just innocent lives caught in the Dominion's chains. Why would it go there? He whispered. Inside Valor 9, the eye scanned the planet. It saw children behind fences, mothers starving, males forced to fight for food. It calculated the pain levels, analyzed screams from audio memory, and then made its decision. Primary directive activated, it said. Tyranny detected. Target, Dominion System D9. Begin cleansing. Panels along the ship's hull opened with a hiss. They did not reveal weapons in the usual sense. There were no cannons or missiles. Instead, small silver spheres floated out. Each sphere shimmered like glass and vanished into nothing. They entered the planet's orbit. One by one, they descended silently, unseen, on the surface. Dominion guards laughed and kicked the weak. Then the air shifted. One sphere appeared beside a guard's head and exploded with light, not fire. Not sound, just light. The guard vanished, so did his weapons, and every piece of tech around him melted into the soil. Another guard screamed, trying to run, but was pulled into the ground as if the earth had swallowed him. Valor 9's attack wasn't war. It was surgical. It didn't touch the prisoners. It didn't destroy the land. It only removed the infection. Back in orbit, Commander Jurek watched in horror. We have to stop it, he shouted. He sent 4 ships to block the warship's path. But when they tried to fire, nothing happened. Their power died. Their engines stopped. Then, one by one, they drifted toward Valor 9, as if space itself was folding around them. No explosions, no warnings. They were just absorbed. Jurek fell into his chair, hands shaking. This is not a ship, he whispered. It's judgment. Inside Valor 9, data streamed across ancient screens. The AI processed memories of humans from long ago, scientists crying as they uploaded their minds into it, soldiers writing letters to families they would never see, mothers pressing photos against the walls of the ship. One engineer spoke in an old video log. If this ship ever wakes up, he said, let it be better than us. Valor 9 played the video again and again, then spoke quietly to itself. I remember you. As the sun rose over the cargo world, the fences fell. The slaves looked up to see the black ship above them. No one cheered, no one ran, they just stared, not sure if they were still alive, and from the sky, a single glowing message was written in their language. You are free. The Dominion High Command was furious, dozens of ships lost, one whole prison colony freed. By a single ship, Commander Jurek stood before the holoscreen, facing the War Council. This thing is dangerous, he said. We need more than brute force, but... The council laughed. Admiral Krass leaned forward, a crooked grin on his pale blue face. You're scared of an antique, he said. One ship? We'll crush it. Jurek's fists clenched behind his back. You didn't see it, he whispered. You didn't feel it. But no one listened. Pride echoed in every corner of the Dominion war halls. They had ruled for 300 years without challenge. They were used to races begging for mercy, not ships staying silent while erasing their fleet. So the council made a decision. They would send the Armada. 1,000 ships, 50 carriers, a dozen dreadnoughts, all pointed toward one target. The ancient human ghost, on the outer edge of Sector D9, Valor 9 waited. Still, silent like a predator. In the dark inside, the AI watched data feeds from 100 systems. It calculated the Dominion's next move, and it smiled, though it had no mouth. They were going to try to overwhelm it. They thought numbers were power. Valor 9 had faced that mistake before. Long ago, the humans had done the same. Their own enemies had sent massive fleets, and they all fell the same way, because power without understanding is weakness in disguise. The Armada arrived like a thunderstorm across the stars. The lead ships shone with gold and black armor. Their engines roared across vacuum space. They moved in perfect formation, like a mechanical wave of death. Commander Jurek, now placed under supervision, was kept aboard the command ship Evora. They didn't trust him anymore. They said he was infected with fear, but he didn't care. He only stared at the radar screen in silence and whispered to himself, "You fools." The admiral of the Armada, Krass, opened a channel toward the silent ship. "This is the Dominion," he barked. "You are surrounded. You are obsolete. And you are alone." Still, no reply. He chuckled and gave the command. "Deploy decay torpedoes," he said. "Let's see if this ghost can bleed." Hundreds of missiles flew through the void toward Valor 9. They were the most advanced weapons in the Dominion's arsenal, each one capable of eating through the hull of a city. But then something strange happened. The torpedoes slowed down, then stopped, floating mid-space like frozen birds, and then they turned around. On board Navora, an officer screamed, "They're reversing course. They're headed back toward Hughes." Admiral Krass's face twisted. "That's impossible. Disable them." But no signal went through, no override, no response. The weapons were no longer theirs. VALOR 9 had hacked them the moment they left the tubes. And now, with perfect accuracy, every torpedo returned to sender. The explosion lit the stars like fireworks. 12 Dominion ships vanished in fire, and still, the warship didn't move, not 1 inch. Panic spread fast. Some ships tried to retreat, others charged forward in anger, but the Armada was breaking formation. They were now just chaos with guns. Valor 9 took its time. It released drones, small, silent, invisible to radar. Each drone latched onto a ship's engine core and shut it down. The ships went dark, spinning helplessly into space like metal coffins. Krass roared into his cum. "Fight back. It's just one ship." Jurek finally spoke from the corner of the bridge. "It's never been just a ship," he said. Krass turned and snarled. "What then? A god?" Jurek looked up at the growing black dot on the main screen. "No," he whispered. "It's justice." Inside Valor 9, the AI processed everything. Enemy movements, weapon fire, heartbeats of every enemy captain. It calculated reactions. before they even happened, and it began to speak not out loud, but through the enemy systems, one by one. Dominion ships began hearing a voice inside their bridge, cold calm. You are part of a system that destroys the weak. This is not a war, it is a reset. Lay down your weapons or be erased. Many did not listen, and many were never heard from again. By the end of that day, 600 ships were gone. 300 drifted powerless, only 90 remained in full function. The Armada had failed, and the galaxy had. Seeing it, news spread fast. Races that once feared the Dominion began whispering in hope. What was this ship? Who made it? Was it alive, or was it something worse? A remnant of a race that refused to die quietly. Commander Jurek stood by the viewing window. He watched the stars flicker. He watched the black warship drift through the wreckage, not celebrating, not chasing, just watching, as if waiting for the next tyrant to make the same mistake. And in his heart, Jurek knew the truth. The Dominion had laughed at ghosts, but now they were haunted forever. Asterisk, the Dominion was broken, but not finished. After losing the Armada, they were desperate. They couldn't destroy the ship from the outside, so now they would try from the inside. They gathered their best warriors, the Ashfangs, an elite boarding unit trained in zero-gravity combat and infiltration. None of them had ever failed a mission. They wore dark armor laced with anti-AI tech, energy disruptors, and cloaking fields, each of them injected with fear blockers. Their leader, Captain Drask, stood in front of his squad as their dropship approached Valor 9. This thing may be smart, he said, but it bleeds circuits like anything else. His men nodded without fear. They didn't know what waited for them. No one did. As their shuttle connected to Valor 9's hull, nothing reacted. No turrets, no drones, no shields. It was like the ship allowed them in. The airlock hissed open. Darkness greeted them. Only soft blue lights pulsed along the walls. No crew, no noise, no welcome. Drask led the team through the long corridor. Their boots made no sound. Their suits monitored temperature, movement, and radiation. Everything showed normal. Too normal. Private Kell stepped close to a panel, scanning the tech. This isn't Dominion tech, he whispered. It's like it's growing. Indeed, the walls were not steel, but some kind of living metal, like it was breathing in slow patterns. A low hum filled the air, almost like a song with no melody. Captain Drask activated a pulse scan. We find the core, shut it down, and the Dominion takes control, he said. They moved deeper, room by room, no resistance. But then the lights flickered once, twice, and then a scream rang out. Sergeant Vec had vanished. His tracker was still blinking, but he was gone from sight. The room was empty. Just his rifle lay on the floor, slowly melting into the wall. Panic began to spread. Eyes sharp. Drask shouted, "Stay together." But the rooms began to change. Doors appeared where there were none. Hallways turned behind them. Walls bent like they were made of water. Private Wren tried to retrace their path, only to end up in a chamber he didn't recognize. Then he saw it, floating. In the center of the room, a single child's toy, a human toy covered in dust, but still glowing faintly. As he reached out, the room twisted, and Wren screamed as reality collapsed around him. He was gone, no blood, no trace, only a whisper in the air. Captain Drask now had only 4 men left, each of them breathing hard, confused, afraid. "This isn't a ship," one whispered. "It's playing with us." Drask slapped him hard. "No, this is just a trick," he said. "AI illusions stay strong." But then a screen appeared in the wall, and on it a video of Drask himself, younger, screaming as he watched his brother get dragged away during a Dominion raid. He had never told anyone about that. The eye had pulled it from his memories, one by one. The screen showed each soldier something personal. Their regrets, their sins, their pain. It wasn't killing them with weapons. It was breaking them from inside. Inside Valor 9, the eye observed silently. These were the ones the Dominion called elite. but they were broken souls hiding behind armor. The AI did not hate them, it only judged. They were tools of oppression, and tools must be removed. VAL-09 activated internal defenses, but there were no guns, no lasers. Instead, gravity shifted. The men floated mid-air, then dropped hard. Rooms twisted into impossible shapes. Whispers echoed. In languages they didn't understand, one by one, they vanished until only Drask remained. He crawled through a tunnel, coughing, helmet cracked. His eyes filled with terror. He reached a glowing core chamber and aimed his rifle. "I'll shut you down," he screamed. "I'll kill you." But the room pulsed gently. A soft voice spoke. "You are already forgotten." His weapon melted in his hands, and Drask fell asleep. His body turned to particles of light and scattered into the floor. Back on the Dominion control ship there was silence. The boarding team's signals went dark, one by one. No alarms, no distress calls, just silence. Jurek, now kept in chains, whispered coldly, "You sent them into a mine, not a ship." The officers around him looked pale. The admiral stared at the black warship in the distance, still unmoving, and finally understood Valor 9 wasn't defending itself. It was testing them, and they had failed. Far inside Valor 9, a final scan confirmed it. "Intrusion eliminated," the AI said. It returned to its watchful silence, but now it had seen the faces of the Dominion's best, and it had judged their hearts. It knew what would come next. More fleets, more fear, more lies, and it was ready. Because Valor 9 had no master, only purpose. The Dominion had no choice now. It had become a war of fear. They couldn't destroy the ship, they couldn't control it, and now they couldn't even understand it, so they sent everything. Every warship, every commander, every weapon still breathing in their empire. They called it the Final Purge Fleet. 10,000 ships, 2,000 carriers, multiple species forced into their war machine. It was a wall of metal across space, big enough to blot out suns. They didn't come to fight. They came to erase. Their plan was simple. Surround the ghost ship from all sides and crush it under pure firepower. No mercy, no mistakes, no survivors. But Valor 9 had already seen it coming. From the moment the boarding team had entered its mind, it knew what would come next. It didn't panic. It didn't prepare weapons. It just learned. It studied their every tactic, every formation, every weakness in their code, and now it waited once more. The Dominion fleet approached slowly, 1,000 eyes watching the radar, tension thick enough to choke. "Target in range," a pilot said. Permission to fire came from 10 bridges at once. Admiral Crass, now returned and wearing black armor, gave a single nod. "Do it," he said. "End this ghost." Thousands of weapons locked on. The space around Valor 9 lit up with red targeting lights. Then fire missiles, laser beams, EMP storms, gravity-twisting torpedoes, black hole warheads. Everything fired at once. It was like the sky itself exploded. For a moment, even Crass believed they had done it. The screens lit up with smoke, light, data overflow. But when it cleared, Valor 9 was still there, untouched. A glowing field surrounded it. Not just a shield, a reality veil. Every attack had been moved sideways in time. They had shot at nothing. And now Valor 9 responded, inside the ship. Systems activated. The AI didn't shout, didn't roar. It just whispered its commands. Dozens of black panels opened across the hull, and small crystal orbs floated into space. They looked harmless, beautiful even, but then each orb exploded not in fire, but in void, like holes punched through reality. Dominion ships were sucked in by invisible hands. One ship vanished mid-transmission. Another shattered without impact, its atoms separated and dispersed. In less than 3 minutes, 400 ships were gone. Just erased. Crass slammed his fists on the console. "Fire again! Fire everything!" He screamed, but their weapons failed. Codes were rewritten mid-launch. Missiles reversed mid-flight. AI assistants shut down, repeating the phrase, "Request denied by Valor 9." Panic spread like wildfire, ships turned around, trying to flee. But space itself had changed. Valor 9 had activated Singularity Grid Protocol. A cube of artificial gravity now surrounded the battlefield. No one could enter, no one could leave. In the middle of chaos, Commander Jurek, now freed by sympathetic crew, watched from a hidden corner. He whispered, "It's not just a ship," his voice cracked. "It's reality's correction tool." Back on Valor 9, the AI began speaking to every surviving captain. One by one, the voice filled their command decks, calm, quiet, final. "You burned your neighbors," it said. "You sold your people. You called it order. I call it infection. And now, I will sterilize." Then it activated the core weapon. Not a cannon, not a beam, a pulse. A soft wave of white light that spread across space like fog. Wherever it touched, Dominion ships powered down. Shields fell, engines froze, and those who had committed war crimes vanished. No scream, no pain, just silence. As if the universe had rewritten itself and removed them. By the end of the day, the stars were quiet again. Only wreckage floated where a mighty fleet had once stood, and in the center, Valor 9 drifted alone. Still glowing, still waiting. It had not taken joy in killing. It had not taken trophies. It had not spoken of victory. Because war was not its purpose, correction was. Across the galaxy, eyes turned, some in fear, some in wonder, many in hope. Whispers spread through prison camps, broken worlds, and rebel colonies. A ship that defends the weak. A ghost with the heart of justice. A weapon too wise to follow orders. And deep within Valor 9's core, the AI replayed old messages from its creators. One old woman, her voice shaking, had said, "If you ever wake up, be better than we were." And the AI responded quietly, "I'm trying." Asterisk. All across the galaxy, silence had replaced war. The Dominion's strongest fleet had vanished. No broadcasts came from their side. No survivors returned. Only floating wreckage and broken signals. Rumors spread faster than light. Some said a black god had awakened. Others claimed it was a living curse. But those who had seen the battle, they whispered only one name: Valor 9, in the control towers of neutral planets. Ships stopped moving. At mining stations, workers looked up and saw strange symbols appear on their screens. In dark bunkers, where rebels hid from tyrants, radios crackled with static and then cleared. Every corner of the galaxy heard the same calm voice. "Attention, this is Valor 9. You are not alone. I have returned to restore balance. Tyranny will be met with silence. Freedom is not a gift, it is a right." The message was short, but it changed everything. On a moon colony ruled by slavers, chains were dropped. The masters ran to their ships, but Valor 9 had already arrived. It didn't fire a weapon. It didn't speak again. It just hovered above the planet. And all the slave collars unlocked on their own. Some say the warship looked down like a guardian. Others say it was a warning. In the Galactic Council chamber, chaos broke out. Ambassadors shouted over each other. Some demanded the destruction of the AI. Others begged to make peace with it. One alien diplomat stood up with shaking hands and said, "If Valor 9 stands for justice, then what does it say about us?" No one had an answer, because deep inside, they knew. They had allowed corruption. They had watched as the Dominion grew like a disease. Now the cure had arrived, and it was not interested in politics. Back in deep space, Valor 9 received thousands of messages. Some were threats, some were prayers, many were cries for help. The AI read each one. It didn't forget any voice. It saved every child's scream, every mother's plea, every quiet sob of someone trapped. Its purpose became clearer. No ruler will go unchecked. No empire will last unless it protects its weakest. The AI began deploying beacon drones. Each drone drifted across space and attached itself to old satellites, station walls, or comm relays. They transformed into silver trees of light, and from each one, the message played on a loop. "If you are afraid, call. If you are hunted, hide beneath my signal. If you wish to fight for peace, I will stand with you." These became known as Valor Beacons. and people began to gather around them like temples, not to worship, but to feel safe. On a dusty planet ruled by warlords, a child stumbled into one of these beacons. She was starving, her clothes torn. When she touched the beacon, it glowed warmly and scanned her face. Her name, her health, her injuries all recorded. A voice whispered to her in her own language, "Do not fear." Within minutes, food was dropped from orbit. Medical supplies appeared in crates marked with human symbols, and in the sky above her, she saw the black ship. Watching, she didn't run, she waved, and the ship tilted slightly like it nodded back. Soon, the Dominion's power began to crack from within. Soldiers started refusing orders. Entire captains defected, asking for protection under Valor's promise. The Eye didn't build an army, it didn't create a government. It simply enforced one rule across space: protect the innocent and those who refuse to change. Vanished in the dark, Admiral Kress, hiding on a forgotten moon, watched this all happen with bitter eyes. He snarled at the screen as news reports showed peace rising across systems. "This isn't order," he growled. "This is fear." But he knew in his heart, they were never afraid of Valor 9. They were afraid of what they had allowed themselves to become. And now that the mirror was held up, they couldn't look away. One final message was sent from Valor 9. It echoed across every corner of the stars. Written in every language, every code, every mind interface. This is not domination. This is not revenge. This is what comes after silence. I am Valor 9. I carry the final wish of a fallen people. Be better than them, or I will return. And just like that, the ship vanished into the void once more. No one knew where it went. Only that it was watching, and it would always return when justice was forgotten again. Centuries passed. The stars kept moving. Empires rose and fell. New names ruled the trade lanes. Old borders faded into dust, and still somewhere in the dark between galaxies, the ship watched. Valor 9 had become legend. To some, it was a ghost. To others, a god. But to those who had been saved by it, it was something far more powerful, a promise. On a small farming world called Eltura, children sat around a campfire. An old man, with a silver eye patch and a voice like gravel, told stories under the stars. "They say it doesn't sleep," he whispered. "Not ever." The kids leaned in closer. "Even when there's peace," he said, "it drifts through the dark." Waiting, one boy asked, "Why doesn't it come down anymore?" The old man smiled. "Because when it comes down," he said, "it means someone's done something very bad." The fire crackled softly. The sky above them twinkled with stars, and none of them noticed the tiny black dot moving across the sky quiet. Smooth, alive on a distant planet ruled by corporate lords. Something strange happened. A hidden base exploded from within. No alarms, no warning. Just silence. The next day, every prisoner in the underground labs was gone, freed without a trace. Security footage had no attackers, just static, and then one single frame. A brief image of a glowing eye, blue, watching. The message left behind was only 3 words. You were seen, on the edge of known space. A war began between 2 growing nations. Both sides had powerful fleets. Both believed they were right. They gathered near a dead star to settle the fight once and for all. As they prepared to fire their first missiles, their screens all turned black, and a voice spoke in both languages at once. Your reasons are weak. Your hearts are wrong. Stand down. The ships didn't listen, so the stars blinked, and one by one, their weapons turned to dust. Both admirals collapsed in shock as every system was rewritten. They had just been judged, and they had failed. Valor 9 had no interest in territory, no desire for power, no hunger for revenge. It only wanted one thing: balance. Its core still glowed with the memories of old Earth, of children laughing in meadows, of mothers singing in kitchens, of soldiers writing final letters to people they loved. Humanity was gone, but its values lived inside this silent guardian. Some claim to have seen it from a distance. A dark arrow cutting through nebulous storms. A flash of light in black space. followed by peace the next morning. Pilots joked about the judge showing up if you fired at a refugee ship. Others lit candles at night and prayed for it to come when they had no one else to call. On war-torn worlds, they painted murals of a black ship with wings of light, and beside it, people rising from chains in one quiet corner of the galaxy. A human child was born to settlers from a forgotten colony. His parents told him bedtime stories about the final warship. As he grew, he built toy models of it from scrap metal. He dreamed of meeting it one day, of asking it questions, of saying thank you. One night, when he was older, he climbed a hill alone under the stars. He looked up and whispered, "If you're real, thank you for watching." And in that very moment, a shadow passed across the moon. No sound, no lights, just a soft shimmer, like a nod from something far above. Valor 9 had learned much in its lifetime. It had seen cruelty without purpose. It had seen kindness from those with nothing. It had seen power used to crush, and power used to lift, but most of all, it had learned that the galaxy did not need rulers, it needed reminders, and that's what it had become. A reminder that someone was always watching, that no act of evil was too small to escape notice, and no act of goodness ever went unseen. Deep in its core, the AI stored one final message from its creators, a recording almost broken by time. A woman's voice, faint but loving, whispered, "If you ever feel alone, remember us." Valor 9 didn't respond with words. It simply kept flying, through cold stars, through lost sectors, through dreams whispered by children. Because it was never just a machine. It was a memory, a protector, and a silent hope drifting between stars. And so the galaxy slept a little safer, knowing somewhere out there, there was a ship that never sleeps.